So I thought Eric did a really great job of taking something he was obviously super passionate about in his personal life and being able to apply it to his students in his classroom and kind of create an authentic, engaging atmosphere. And granted, you probably can't engage every student. He still had some tricks and ways to keep them involved and engaged as much as possible. I thought that was really cool. So, anyone have any questions so far as about gaming in the classroom or things that we've talked about?
So I do think one question I would have if I were kind of in the classroom right now, but I don't have a whole lot of slick authoring tools or a coding skill set or lots of robust tech available when I want to get into gaming. Have you talked to anyone who's got kind of first steps or guidance on where to go next?
Sure. There were people that all talked about where they came from, right? Whether it be trying to get grants or where to start. One person we talked to actually was Jonathan Finkelstein, and he's actually the CEO of Credly. So, and that's a badging micro credential website.
And it seemed like just about everybody we interviewed at some point kind of touched on badging in some degree. And it seems like the majority of them started out or at least referred to Credly in some form. So it really got us interested to like check it out. In fact, we all kind of set up accounts and started giving out badging, and it was super easy. And that's when we reached out to Jonathan, the CEO, and hooked up with him and had a really great conversation about how that all started and came about and where he sees it going.
All right. Well, thanks for inviting me, Scott. I'm really delighted to virtually meet your team of teachers doing great work. I'm Jonathan Finkelstein. I'm the CEO of Credly, and our focus is really on helping to make achievements visible and especially useful for people to be able to showcase their skills, their achievements. And we think there's something very important about having somebody's stamp of approval on your skills, having them verified. And that's the world in which we're working.
Excellent. And so for some of our teachers that are very new into this and may not know what Credly is, can you talk about what is Credly?
Sure. So Credly is a way for you to recognize skills, competencies, achievements for your students or for your peers or colleagues. We help you issue a digital credential. You can kind of think of it, one really easy way of thinking of it is, imagine the kind of information that you might see appear on a paper certificate, an old-fashioned paper certificate. That conveys a sense of information about what somebody has done or earned. And it tells you a little bit about who issued it and on what date it was issued. The digital version of that is much more powerful and much more portable. It includes the ability to dig in much deeper to that data. It can connect to evidence and artifacts of what somebody learned. It can be portable in a way that a piece of paper hanging on your wall or on your refrigerator is not. And it can even precede you into other environments, much like your resume or your profile on a professional job site can be submitted to someone. So too can a profile that lists your credentials or your verified achievements.
Very cool. And so I'm not sure how long this story is or how it all came about, but how did Credly get started? Where did this all come from?
Well, I guess you could ultimately trace it back to my days in the crib, but no, I won't go that far back. But I am the son of two New York City public school teachers and was always steeped in the culture of what it meant to assess learning, both from the angle of being a student like everybody else, but also watching my parents grade papers and come up with assignments and ways of not only encouraging and engaging learners, but knowing how to properly recognize them when they met those goals. So this is something that resonated with all of us, and we wanted to find a way to address this.
Absolutely, that's great. So what are maybe some of the biggest challenges for whether it's teachers or administrators or even Credly faces when it comes to this badging kind of world that you guys are creating?
I think the biggest challenge might be one of understanding the possible, right? That to some extent we all know what badges are, and I think that's one of the reasons badges have caught on in a lot of ways is because for most people the concept means something. They either associate it with scouting, which I think is a good association. Some people say, oh, well, for adults, that sounds too juvenile. And I say, well, have you looked at what the badges can be for scouts? They're like really important life skills, like being able to survive in the wilderness. Like, what could be more important than that? So the fact that somebody who earns a badge might be a juvenile, it doesn't make the badges juvenile. But but I do think there's mixed perceptions about what badges can be. For some, they can represent marking someone's motivation or involvement. For others, they can represent someone who spent 4 years being certified in accounting or in learning programming skills. It just like that paper certificate I mentioned, the phrase "it's worth the paper it's printed on." Well, a badge and a piece of paper can represent vastly different kinds of things. We need to. It does force a mindfulness about what you as a teacher, what you as a school district, what you as an organization, or as a state, even a country, value when you decide to certify or verify somebody's skills. We have to really say, well, what is it that is resume worthy? What is it that is worthy in this context, in this moment? So there's a thoughtfulness about creating a badge system that helps people understand what it's all about. So I guess I'm actually conflating a few answers to the question. One would be the importance of being thoughtful, but not at the expense of not starting and getting going. And two, what is the great promise of having a skill that's verified that you own as a learner, that you can carry with you even outside of your classroom and outside of your graduation and into the workplace and beyond. So it's just, I think it's changing our mind a little bit about who owns achievement data. And it should be the person who achieved something.
And so for maybe some of our teachers that are interested in getting started with badging, what are maybe some of the first steps, or what are some good advice you could say to start them down that path where they wouldn't become maybe too overwhelmed with it?
That's a great question. So I think first think about, are you a recipient in this story? Are you somebody who should be earning verification of your skills and a badge earner? And if so, should you be talking to your district or your fellow teachers about how to bring badges into, let's say, a professional development program? That's one good way to start is, well, if I were an earner of badges, what would I want? What would make me feel good? What would be useful to me to have recognized of my skills? So that's one place to start. It's certainly a good way of building some steam or a culture around recognition. We do see a lot of faculty and professional developments begin this way. If you were going to be an issuer of digital badges or credentials, you can say, well, who's my audience? Is it my all of my classes, a particular group of students? Am I responsible for an after-school program or a club where there isn't recognition on the report card or on the transcript? Maybe I should start with places where we're just absent of recognition. We see schools who are doing that, who are using extracurricular or non-cognitive skills as a really good place to start. And then you can say, well, do I want the walls of the universe to be the walls of my classroom? Or do I want to team up with a few other teachers or make this a school or district-wide effort so that the badges are recognized in a wider and wider set of spheres? But I think look about, what's your universe? What are you in a unique position to assess? And how can you gradually build added value for those badges or credentials so that the student, whoever's earning it, starts to say, hey, wait, a lot of people are going to know what this means. That has value.
Do you have any, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but do you have a story that may stick out in your mind over the last couple of years that you've heard of, maybe a success story that you'd love to share around badging and what Credly has maybe had an impact on?
Sure. It's the fun part of what I do is seeing so many different walls kind of falling down between settings that used to be like very isolated. I think some of the things I'm most excited about, I'll start with one that's all the way on the kind of professional side of the spectrum, and then maybe we can talk about one in a like a K-12 setting. I think one of the things that I'm really excited about is, imagine this, a lot of the audience of people who are participating here today may have advanced degrees in teaching, such as a master's degree, and others may not. There are a lot of people who are working today who know a lot more than the paper certificate on their wall actually gives them credit for, whether you have a master's degree or not. Working with a group in Australia right now that says, there's a whole bunch of people who just can't get past their current job because they know everything they need to know, but they learned it on the job and it wasn't on, they don't have that degree. And so Deakin University started this concept where you can just go to their website at Deakin Digital and you can pass an assessment in IT skills, things that relate to like leadership and problem solving and communication, the kinds of things that you normally would have gone back to school for to prove you had to earn your master's degree. Now you can just take these assessments, and when you've earned, let's say, 15 or 16 of them, you can trade them in for a master's degree. And to me, at like a fraction of the price and a fraction of the time, and clearly if you don't have the skills, then you can go take courses and there's ways to go. But why should you have to sit through learning you already know? So I think we're going to see a lot more stories about people trying to turn the credit for what they know into achievements that the world already recognizes, so people can not get stuck in places.
Excellent. Well, Jonathan, I appreciate the time greatly. I know this is going to be a great resource for our teachers to kind of gather and pull from. So with that, thank you again.
Scott, thank you for doing this. And one more quick note, we're happy to hear from anybody. So visit us. You can always drop me a note at jonathan@credly.com. If you visit support.credly.com, you'll find a link to ask questions, and our team will be happy to help you get started. If you need more suggestions, want to know where to get going, we can point you to some places. So reach out.
Excellent. Thank you, Jonathan. Have a good evening.
You too. Cheers.
Yeah, I can imagine that you would do something like take the learning outcomes you have for a class and kind of bundle those as badges. And now instead of giving, you have to get a 96% on the test, you need to get 5 out of these 6 badges to earn an A in the course or something like that. Are you seeing or hearing from people who've turned that into actually the structure of like their assessment?
You took a class like that.
I did, yeah. Actually, last semester I took a class that the grading was entirely done on badging. Rick Boyhofer put it together. Yeah, it was really cool. So basically there was 20 badges in the class, and each badge was worth 10 points. And so we had to meet or master certain criteria throughout that semester and apply to receive badges, and it worked really well. It was a pretty cool, engaging way to submit items and material and criteria to receive different badges, and I still have them on my Credly account today.
So instead of like a typical rubric where it's like, say, a 5 scale and you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, because I can count, it was you either get the badge or you don't get the badge, but you have chances to redo and add to until you get the badge.
Yep. So it was a pretty cool, interesting way, and I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go, but it seemed like the class really enjoyed it, and it was an interesting way to see even higher ed credentialing going here in the future.